No, no, no. Because you can't just say pitch black feuding with his own reflection is normal workplace behavior. Alex, that is a man who added himself to his greatest feuds whiteboard in his own bathroom, underlined twice in red marker. And I think we need to process that as a society before we do anything else today.
Okay. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. We should probably explain that outburst. I'm Alex. This is Umpire Magazine, The Hot Take. And Jamie has been yelling about a whiteboard for roughly 45 seconds before we even said hello. Welcome to the show.
And I'm Jamie. And last week, I called Follywood an empire built on citrus and contempt. And this week, I'm upgrading that to citrus, contempt, and full-blown identity crises. Pitch Black pointed at a dark monitor, at his own face in the glass, and hissed, quote, "You wouldn't last a day on my lot." He threatened himself, Alex. The man is his own supervillain origin story.
And frankly, he might be right. He might not last a day on his own lot. His shares dropped 4.5% this week because the market found out he names his hard drives after Shakespeare characters. There's one called Bard that apparently contains 17 unfinished heist scripts and a grocery list. The man is filing fever dreams under Ophelia Backup Final Version 9 at 4:47 in the morning. That's not a workflow, Jamie. That's a cry for help with a filing system.
But can I just say, last week you told me the critical bar had been melted down and reforged into a participation trophy. And I need to report that this week the trophy has been awarded because Fearscape Ghost in I is still number one at 20.5 million. It crossed 60 million total. The 5 out of 10 horror film you compared to a disappointing sandwich is now a $60 million sandwich, Alex.
It's a very expensive sandwich that still tastes average. The magazine's exact words are that audiences are having a grand time being scared witless. Grand time. Those are the words of a publication that has given up trying to reconcile money with quality and is just narrating the chaos like a nature documentary. Meanwhile, Pitch Black is between editing passes on Underland, threatening his own reflection. The man behind the #1 film in Follywood is in a blood feud with a screen. His feud's whiteboard now just says, me.
Speaking of Underland, though, 14.2 million in its opening stretch. At 3 out of 10. Last week, we were screaming about Tale of a Hero making money at 3 out of 10, and now Pitch Black has another 3 out of 10 earner on the board. The magazine literally says audiences are paying for the promise and leaving with regret like buying a beautiful cake made of cardboard. And honestly, that metaphor is doing more heavy lifting than any script in Follywood right now.
The magazine counted 11 out of 15 tracked titles, sitting at 3 out of 10. 11. That's not a trend. That's a postal code. Last week I said 3 out of 10 was a postcode, and this week the magazine is basically confirming it. Follywood doesn't have a quality problem, it has a zoning issue. Every film lives on the same street, and the street is called Disappointment Avenue.
Okay, but we have to talk about the press releases because these studios are responding to the rumor mill and it is absolutely unhinged. Pitch Black issues a statement about the hard drive story and shares drop 4.5%. The statement literally starts with the word regarding, which is the same word he spent 3 hours debating last week. He learned nothing. The market has decided that Pitch Black saying regarding is a sell signal.
The statement is, quote, regarding today's rumor mill story, and then it just trails off into what I can only assume was a staring contest with his monitor. Minus 4.5%. Last week this man got a bump for doing nothing, and this week the market punished him for doing something, which was acknowledging reality. Follywood's lesson is clear. Never acknowledge reality. Reality is bearish.
And then Dan and Tino over at Shire Films puts out a press release about the Hat Code story, the one about his crew ranking his moods by brim width, and shares drop 1.5%. The Brim Doctrine is real, Alex. The magazine says the crew has a Discord server with more members than Shire Films has shareholders. A hat-based fan club is outperforming the actual company.
Danantino's response was so carefully worded that 3 entertainment lawyers reportedly read it twice, just for fun. That's the most expensive hat-related document in Follywood history. And now he's making the fire safety officer read the blunt instrument script aloud. The fire safety officer did not finish. I want to know at what point in the script the fire safety officer decided the building was safer than the dialogue.
Meanwhile, MXVW at Mike's Movies is the only person who figured out how to make a press release work. He responds to the Helvetica ban story and shares Go UP 3.4%. The board voted 7-1 to ban Helvetica from all communications, and the one dissenter was holding out for Trebuchet MS on aesthetic grounds and got moved to a desk near the printer. Last week, we called it the typography bull run. And this week, the bull is still running, Alex.
The magazine is calling it the most bullish typeface decision since Arial displaced Times New Roman, and I want everyone to sit with the fact that font-based financial instruments are now a recurring segment on this show. MCVW also got caught doing a full villain monologue in a sequined cape from the Scream 2 wardrobe rack while the intercom was live. Craft Services filed a grievance because the dark theatrical energy supposedly curdled the yogurt. Not metaphorically, the actual yogurt.
And there's a secret fan club now, the MZVW Quotebook Society. They're logging every bizarre thing he says on set, including a soliloquy about the emotional texture of a well-upholstered chaise longue. This man delivered a table read for a furniture catalog just in case the script falls through. Alex, McVW is method acting his own management style, and the crew is archiving it.
Between pitch-black threatening mirrors, Danantino color-coding scripts with 3 highlighters for mood, menace, and mischief, McVW monologuing in sequins, and One-Up giving a structured pep talk to a fog machine at 4 in the morning, I'm starting to think Follywood doesn't need a film industry. It needs a group therapy session with a very patient facilitator and possibly a tranquilizer dart.
One-Up emailed storyboarded dreams to the entire crew with the subject line, Vision, Attached, Act, Fast. His ringtone is a fully produced fake movie trailer. That's not insanity, Alex, that's commitment. I respect a man whose alarm clock is a pitch meeting.
Let's talk about the films that are actually dying, since nobody else seems concerned. The Silent Waltz made $37,000 at 2 out of 10. That's the week's lowest. The magazine suggests the 2 people who saw it wandered in looking for the bathroom. The Last Dragon of Eldermore made $30,000. At this rate, the dragon will die of old age before the film recoups its marketing. Those are magazine lines, not mine. But I wish they were mine.
But here's what I actually find weirdly beautiful. Tale of a Hero is at 53.8 million lifetime. Echo, The Silent Note, is at 41.8. Last Starfighter passed 29 million at 5 out of 10. These films have just refused to leave the building. The magazine literally says we respect the hustle. And honestly, same. In a world of threes, persistence is its own award.
Persistence is not an award, Jamie. Persistence is what happens when the exit is blocked. And now we've got 4 new releases hitting June 26th, and the critics have already salted the earth. Blunt Instruments arrives with a title typo that reviewers are calling a metaphor for the entire production. The tagline is just "keep going," which the magazine notes is either motivational or a warning about the runtime. I'm going with warning.
Okay, but Land Governor at 4 out of 10 is genuinely the most promising score of the batch. A grizzled hermit defending his mountain cabin from mercenaries. The critics started writing, "Kill or be kill," and couldn't even finish the sentence. The tagline is "Leave me alone," which is either the character's line or the reviewer's final words. I kind of love it.
You love a 4 out of 10. You love it. Last week, you called yourself a market force, and this week you're championing a film whose own critic gave up mid-sentence. Midnight at the Oasis got called a mirage, shimmering with promise from a distance, but dissolving into parched nothing. The Hollow District is, quote, about as hollow as its title suggests. The most generous opening score is a 4. The bar isn't at ankle height anymore, Jamie, it's underground. They're going to need a geological survey to find it. We're not narrating it, Jamie. We're trapped in it. But that is our show for this week. I'm Alex, still recovering from the revelation that a grocery list lives on a hard drive named after Shakespeare.
And I'm Jamie. And next week, I will be tracking every single 3 out of 10 like they're my children. Thank you all for listening. Tell your friends, subscribe, do all the things. And remember, in Follywood, competence is the new excellence.
The magazine literally said they salute